Greetings, my loves, and a happy full moon. I'm putting this out on the full moon, second episode of Shakti Temple Arts on YouTube. So, topic of today's conversation, one of my favorite topics that I share a lot about in my workshops and in my online courses, but it really deserves more publicity. And today's topic is the female sexual response. And more importantly, how the female sexual response has not been adequately portrayed in society. And this has caused a lot of problems because we're only getting one half of the picture, right? Many women aren't even fully aware of what the female sexual response is. So first of all, for ladies and gentlemen, please gentlemen, also listen to this, very important. Let's talk about the difference between the male sexual response and the female sexual response. So first of all, the male sexual response begins in a central location at the lingam or the phallus, and it from there spreads out. So what the male sexual response, and through the Taoist lens, the male sexual response is akin to fire. So what fire does is it burns bright and hot, and without proper tempering or cultivation, it burns out, right? So a man's sexual arousal will be immediate, you know, it doesn't take much. He sees a beautiful naked woman or man, whatever his preference, and gets an erection and is basically ready to go. You can pretty much go straight for the lingam at that point, right? And then from there start spreading it out into the rest of his body, right? Okay, so we live in a realm of duality. We live in a realm of opposites. So guess what? The female sexual response is opposite to the male's. What this means is that we are more akin to water. And water takes a bit more time to warm up. Now, if you are in a new connection and female-bodied, and there's, you know, just being close to that person kind of already brings the water to a simmer or even a small boil, it's not going to take as much time. But let's say you had a difficult day, you've been with your partner for years now, it can take a bit more time. Your water might start at room temperature or even cold or even ice, right? Water has these different levels that it can exist at. So we want to get to a boiling point where there's steam happening, and steam is kind of where water and fire kind of unite, find that balance point. Right? So as women, we want to get to that point. But depending on where our water is, whether it's ice or cold or room temperature or simmering, it's going to take different amounts of time for us, right? So, very important, most important point I'm making in this talk is that the female sexual response starts out here. It doesn't even start at the body. It starts at, you know, how we woke up this morning. You know, did we have time to kind of come into the day, and, you know, were we woken up to an emergency of sorts? Like, it starts from there, and then it's the environment that we're in and how that makes us feel. It's how the dynamic is with our lover throughout the day, not just as we're coming into intimate communion. And then when we are, it's like the words that come into us, it's like the five senses draw us in towards the yoni. Yeah, so we come from out here. It's like, you know, we want to be touched on the neck, or the breasts are an amazing place to start to arouse a woman. We never go straight for the yoni. We never go straight for the pussy with a woman. And this has been sorely misrepresented in the porn industry. So a lot of people are getting their sex education, unfortunately, from pornography. And in pornography, it's frequently depicted, you know, man walks in the door, stranger, you know, usually there's some interesting relationship there, sees woman, basically rips her clothes off and goes straight for it, right? There might be two men, but there's not a lot of foreplay shown in pornography. And this has been very detrimental to female sexual health and to how we view ourselves as sexual beings. frequently if a woman doesn't get wet right away, she thinks something's wrong with her, or he thinks something's wrong with her. You know, people take offense, or there's so many layers to this, you know, and to women feeling like, oh, I'm taking too much time, and then she starts contracting, and then she can never fully open and flower. The feminine is like a flower that needs to blossom from the center, right? So once that blossoming happens, and here's a little secret, frequently that blossoming needs to happen from the heart first, and then the pussy follows, yeah? So the best way to turn your woman on generally is to tickle the petals of her heart before you tickle the petals of her flower, her yoni. So this is the female sexual response. We move from out here in towards the yoni. It's actually damaging, or can be damaging, to the delicate tissues of the yoni to be penetrated before they are ready. So there are a few different signs to let us know when the female body is ready to be entered, is inviting someone in. You'd be surprised how many women aren't fully aware of these cues even. You know, a lot of us, the more I work with women, the more I see that we allow ourselves to be penetrated before we're ready. I'm guilty of it. I think most of us are. And so there's a real invitation here for both men and women for us to find this dance. It's a dance of opposites. It's a dance of yin and yang. It's a dance of God and goddess, of Shiva and Shakti, of sun and moon. And so in that dance, how can we refine that dance to honor the masculine, to honor the feminine, to honor what that dance looks like together? Whenever we start using a particular formula or going into patterns, we tend to lose the novelty of this dance. So this dance requires us to be all eyes wide open, senses wide open, hearts wide open, right? So again, men and women are opposite. So we tend to, if we want to approach the heart of a man, oftentimes that's through the phallus or the lingam first. For a woman, it's opposite. You want to enter the temple gates of the yoni, you must go through the heart. So once that begins to happen, once the heart energy is flowing, so again, breaths are an amazing way to tap into that heart energy of the woman. And then once the yoni starts to flower, so yes, there will be lubrication. She'll start to be swollen and plumpy and juicy, and so that will all invite us in. But we also want to make sure there's an even deeper occurrence that's happening within the woman's body, and that is that the cervix, so the yoni is the first gateway, the second gateway is the cervix. The cervix is the gate guardian to the womb. It's literally the entrance to the womb. And the cervix, in preparation for penetration, will draw up and in and soften to create room for the lingam. So the cervix is the heart point of the female, and the tip of the lingam is the heart point. This is via Taoist philosophy, the heart point for the man. So these are two heart points coming together. If a woman is not fully aroused and the cervix hasn't lifted, it can actually be painful if the lingam hits the cervix. So we want to, there's an inviting in, and the woman can start to feel that energetic when it's time. So my invitation, as we get to know and honor the female sexual response, is to really listen to that point where the body starts to draw in, starts to invite in, and to both partners, if you know, you can practice this with your lover, to start to play with that timing, to feel into that timing, both the woman and the man, or the woman, whatever the configuration looks like, but to really feel into that yes, that full-bodied yes, that ripeness for penetration. So this is the female sexual response, and let it be known far and wide, because this is something that can truly shift the energy on the planet as we learn to honor both the feminine way in equality with the masculine way. So if you like what you heard here, this is one of my favorite topics to teach, and I find that the Taoist and Tantric systems provide amazing containers for us rewiring our understanding, our embodiment, and our experience of the true feminine sexual response. So thank you for listening and tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy even more in practice. Much love.